There he is.
How are you?
Not bad, buddy. How are you?
Good. Busy.
Busy. Probably a good word to describe you at this point, hey?
It's insane right now.
Yeah.
What
Awesome.
have
Well,
I what
thanks
have
for
I done
taking
to
some
myself?
some
Of
time out of the schedule to join.
course.
You're a repeat offender, man. This is your second time on the podcast. Right before the pandemic, we had you on to, I think it was for the Indie Week 2019, I think.
Wow. Yeah.
It's been a while.
It's great. I see all your content and man, you're killing it. Posting all the time and everything. It's just
Oh, dude, yeah, the Twitter is
amazing.
insane. I mean, if you follow me on Twitter, it's impossible to not see it.
Yeah.
But we're a little less on Instagram and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, man, we're getting a lot of really cool guests, and for something that I thought after I got let go from radio, I thought that I'd be, I don't know, maybe like a year doing this, 2 years at the most. We're
Yeah.
like almost 9 years, man. Like,
Wow,
what
really?
the hell? Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Wow, nine
Yeah.
years.
So I
Huh.
I guess that's the spot to start with you today, Darryl, is like, obviously the pandemic, it derailed the live portion of Indie Week, and one of the things that we're going to get into all the stuff, many hats. You wear many hats, my friend.
Yeah,
But
it's insane.
I guess you did a lot of like online content for the 2020 and the 2021 parts. How hard was that to get Indie Week back on track, and coordinating again with bands and venues and the city and all that?
Well, we're not doing the festival anymore at all.
Well, it's not even happening. It's
No.
online stuff still.
We're completely
Wow.
online. Yeah. Yeah. It's
It now, is that a choice because it worked so well, or is it
yeah,
because, like, holy, yeah, hey,
all the above.
wow, wow.
Yeah. Moving everything online. Are we going? Are we live?
Oh yeah, we're going, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
uh yeah, okay. So here's the deal. When COVID hit, we literally lost everything, and we were, I'd say, 2 weeks away from closing for good everything. Like
Wow.
shutting down everything on the Indie Week side. Of course, I'm working for Downtown Music, and that's great and such. But yeah, we were basically about 2 weeks away from just calling it a day after basically 20 years of work. And like we
Really?
lost other contracts. Like we booked bands for the Maple Leaf, like basically Real Sports after every Maple Leaf home game. And of course, NHL canceled, so we lost that contract. Although we might be doing that again,
Mhm.
hopefully. But so is a number of factors, not just the festival, not just the conference. Basically, everything was not happening. And it's tough as a business owner because you're responsible for paying staff, and you're uh, want to maintain that as best you can. But when nothing's coming in, you got to make choices.
Right.
So we were really close, and we also fell through the cracks of all the COVID support funding. We literally got none. We got $5,000 for the entire year. So that was another thing.
Mhm.
Um,
Wow.
yeah, so we went into doing our online conference with a lot of questions, unknowns. Like, we're very lucky, the support of our partners and our sponsors. They're what really got us through.
Mhm.
And it's funny, everyone's asking, what do you expect? I don't know. How many people are going to be there? I don't know. Like, what kind of reaction are you expecting? I don't know. I've never done an online conference before.
Yeah.
Um, but the response is so overwhelmingly positive, and
Mm.
the results, like, people got jobs because they connected with other attendees. People collaborated as songwriters with other attendees in other countries. People have released NFTs with NFT marketplaces in other countries. So the results are actually astounding and overwhelmingly positive. And so that's where we were like, okay, well, we can't wait 12 months. So we created other conferences. So we now have 4 online conferences.
Hmm.
And each time has been overwhelmingly positive.
Mm.
And our last one, we had the highest amount of registrations out of them all. So it actually, instead of seeing a decline, it actually went up. And that's overwhelmingly positive. So, going back to the live music space, I've been watching and I do talk to people and managers and such. Costs are up, insurance is up, venue rates in some cases are up.
Mm.
Uh, the cost, like a lot of even like beer prices and everything is up. So patrons are having to pay more money.
Mhm.
Um, and also, not that long ago, I'd say 4 weeks ago, I'm on a thread of, all the venues of across Canada and everything. And what a lot of the reports then was that, let's say, even if the show was sold out, 20 to 30% of people are still not showing up. Even though they bought a ticket, 20 to 30% were still not showing up. Either think of it like maybe they have COVID now because it's still going around,
Mhm.
or fear of getting COVID, or
Wow.
something else, right? So there's just so many factors and unknowns still that I just looked at, what's working is working. Let's really amplify that and get
Mm.
better at it and do it really well. Um, as opposed to start something again that has a lot of unknown factors. And I've been seeing
Mm.
cancellations still. I've been seeing, I just saw Moist not that long ago cancel the show. Again, they had to scramble to find an opener. I think it was with the Tea Party because of COVID. And and
Right.
and I'm not singling out Moist. Moist new album, everybody, it's great.
David.
Listen to it, right? But it's the thing is like it's still there, and
Yeah.
I just don't want to deal with it.
It
Um,
it sounds like it's something that you might maybe in the future want to kind of get back into when it's firm
well,
footing and like, I get what you're saying though. Like, I just started up podcast shows again, live shows where I'm hosting and interviewing and the band plays and all that. But prior to COVID, it was like $12 a ticket, 15 at the door. It's now $20 a ticket, 25 at the door.
yeah,
Not by my choice. That's the venue saying like that's what we're charging now.
yeah. It's and the other thing too is the competition is fierce right now because of a number of things, especially in Canada. One, all the major artists who also were locked down are going full guns right now. Like I just saw Roger Waters. We just had Red Hot Chili Peppers. We just had Alanis Morissette. We just had everybody's on the road, and they're the Rage Against the Machine. The price.
$120 a pop. Doesn't matter where you're sitting.
Exactly. I got 2 tickets to Roger Waters, and it ended up being almost $500, right? And so do people have disposable income to go to the smaller shows? And then even still, we're in competition with a lot of the young bands that are trying to get back to normal too.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
um, and another factor is we have lost some venues. So even the landscape of what we normally would do isn't normal in the sense we can't do it to the same capacity. Um, there are some new venues, so that means making new relationships, and how does that work? And so yes, there's a lot involved. But uh, we did announce yesterday our first live show that we're presenting in London, Ontario, and it's with Soft Cult on September 15th. And it's part of a 3-part series that we're going to have. We're going to have 2 other shows to announce. So we are dipping our toes back into the live music space.
Hmm.
Um,
Great.
and the hint in the release that went out is it is to promote a new music festival we're launching November 2023 in London, Ontario. And this is the first time I've mentioned it, just so you know.
That's great. You're hearing it here first.
Exactly.
That's
But
great.
yes, so we
So
are doing stuff.
Indie Week Canada is November 8th through 12th online,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
then talk to us about the Music Pro Summit, which is happening real quick, September 6th through 8th.
Yeah. So as I said, we split up our conference into four, and each has sort of like a focus, because online, it's not like a hotel. You've got six rooms running all different things. We want
Mm,
to really focus the content. So Music Pro Summit is high level industry discussions. So we're talking metaverse, of course, a little bit about NFTs, but talking about how to monetize, sync and licensing, publishing, a little bit higher level discussions in doing business and how to strategize.
mm,
Metadata is there, is also very important. How to be discovered online is a really big one, because 70,000 songs a day going up. How do you get found? And that's a huge pain point for a lot of artists. So the other beauty of doing digital conferences is we're very agile and nimble with the topics we choose, because it's easier to get real high level speakers, because we're not having to fly them in. It's not
sure.
based on their schedule. We just ask for 1 hour of their time. So we've got a great lineup of speakers. I have to say it's top notch.
Are you able to let the cat out of the bag on some of the extraordinary speakers you have?
Yeah, well, it's think of it like, as we've got speakers from companies like Bandzoogle. The One of the speakers that we've had a few times and is we've actually built a really good relationship with Steve Stewart, who managed Stone Temple Pilots,
Mm,
and he's very active in the metaverse. He's got a really great project he's working on, uh, based in LA. So that's what I mean. We've got people who've done it,
right.
and like, I mean, with Stone Temple Pilots, they sold over 40 million albums, and he was behind that. Like he drove that.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
cool.
people, yeah, it's people who've done it. And the great part is he's in LA. He's able to jump online and spend an hour with us and share the information. So it allows us to get a lot of other speakers, like Alan Cross is doing keynote with one of our speakers.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm super excited, because it's opened the doors, as somebody who's programs these conferences, where we kind of like brainstorm and like, maybe we can get this guy, and like, before it'd be like, oh man, that'd be so expensive to fly him in, and this, and a lot of people are willing to share information. A lot of people are willing
Well,
to
when it's this,
share.
it's just so easy when it's, "Hey, can you jump on a Zoom?"
Yeah.
There's an online component that's very, very, like, when you ask, like you say, people have information they wanna share, and they're more willing to do that as opposed to, "I'm gonna jump on a plane, it's gonna take me, like, 3 hours to get there, it's gonna be a run around at the airport, and then I've gotta get to the hotel," and way
Yeah.
easier to say yes to this.
Absolutely. And the other part is they're all open to sharing like their contact information, and they're like, "Hey,
Wow,
here's my email in the chat," and such. So um at a
that's incredible.
at a normal conference where I've been to many around the world, and it's like, "Oh, I hope I meet this person," and you don't. And you're like, "Well, that's it."
Mhm.
So, you know,
Well, I know that they were there, but,
yeah.
yeah,
And the beauty is that our platform is up for 3 months. So even if you can't tune in for a certain session, the recording is there, and their contact information is all there. So even 3 months later, you could
yeah,
email that speaker and be like, "Hey, I just watched the video and I've got a few questions."
that's amazing. How
Yeah.
how old were you when music took control of your life?
uh, grade six. It was grade six.
Yeah, about that for me too.
Yeah, I was enamored by just so many different aspects. I mean, those were the days where Saturday morning cartoons started early with like the Partridge Family, Bay City Rollers. So there was music
Yeah,
Saturday mornings. And then a few years later, when video started, Friday nights was Good Rockin' Tonight.
Stu
Uh,
Jeffries.
Stu Jeffries and Terry
He
David
he's a guest a
Mulligan.
week after you're a guest.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, see, he's still going.
He's
Um,
amazing, man. He's like one of the reasons I got into the industry.
yeah, exactly. So watching shows about videos, new music, uh, new music tonight was another huge influence. And well, the funny part is at the start of video shows, there was almost no video, so they kept playing the same ones, like
Right.
Running Up the Hill, Kate Bush, who's really big right now.
Sure.
Uh, Talking Heads was another one that they played all the time. Like
Yeah.
it was artistic videos right off the bat. So that had a big impact. And yeah, basically since grade 6, I knew I was going to do something with music. I was hoping to play guitar, but not everybody can make it, and you find yourself in the biz.
Nice. And what's your first memory that involves music?
Mm. First memory that involves music. That's a really tough one. Um, I would say it's either my mom or my grandfather playing piano. And I remember I used to sit on the piano bench next to my grandfather, and he'd play songs like The Entertainer, a lot of
Nice.
ragtime kind of stuff. And I'd just be amazed. And I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah, that's great. And I think it was the last time we talked, I'd asked you about like your first concert and stuff, right? And you were like, I can't remember if it was Neil Diamond or if it was Olivia Newton-John.
Wow, you've got good
And
memory. Yeah.
and
That's
what
it.
and what a shame of Olivia Newton-John passing. Like I put out a thing like, oh man, my first crush, Olivia Newton-John, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Which musician for you, which death affected you the most in the
Ooh.
last little while? I remember like when Glenn Fry of the Eagles passed, like I was choked. I mean, I I think I almost cried. And that was
You-
like about 6 years back, right? So
Chris Cornell.
Cornell, yeah.
Chris Cornell. It that whole grunge movement was really important to me. Lane Staley was crushed like when that happened, and but was not surprised. Um,
Mm,
and it's like if you think of my generation, and there's a movie called Singles, and the soundtrack to Singles was very instrumental.
like one of the
Uh,
best ever, still to
One of the
this day.
best ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, so Alice in Chains, their singer, and then uh you've also Linkin Park, their singer, Stone Temple Pilots, their singer. Like it just was so much. And Andrew Wood of Mother Love Bone, which was a huge instrumentation of the whole grunge movement actually existing.
Right.
Pearl
Yeah.
Jam would not exist. Like this is the craziest part. Pearl Jam would not exist if he hadn't passed away, which is
Exactly.
crazy,
And we
right?
wouldn't have gotten Temple of the Dog if he hadn't
That's right.
passed away.
Yeah. And Chris Cornell almost seemed to be kind of the one that was, I don't know, it's almost like out of them all seemed to be like the stable one, even
Mm,
though we know he had his issues, but it seemed like he had overcome them.
mhm.
And just a few days prior, and like few days prior, there was posts of like, oh, new music being worked on by Soundgarden. And I'm a huge Soundgarden fan.
Yeah, same.
And I was online literally when I saw like the first tweet, and I was like, what? No, this, like, it just was unreal. um so to me, that was kind of like almost a closing of the door of that era. I know Pearl Jam's still here, but it seemed like all the big artists have lost sort of the voice, right?
Yeah,
And
Pearl Jam really is the last flag holder.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
and
pretty crazy.
yeah, it's just unreal.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of other artists that didn't get to that status, but have also gone through similar experiences.
yeah. Yeah, Cornell for me, real quick before I move to the next, question here. I want to talk about Woodstock '99 with you, by the way.
Sure.
Um, yeah, Cornell was one of those guys. Like he would come to CFOX and he would host like the full 4 hours with me, and I'd be like, dude, like you don't need to stay here for the full 4 hours. Like we could rip through half hour of phone calls and get a bunch of content, and I can make it seem like you're here.
Yeah.
No, 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 dude. No, no, I'll stay here. Like, is there coffee? Yeah, there's coffee. Yeah, no, I'll stay here then. That's cool.
Yeah.
He was that kind of guy, right? Like I gave him the option to like take a half hour of his time, and he's like, no, no, I'll stick around, man. I want to hang out and, be part of the show.
Wow, that's amazing. And he also seemed to be like um really just sort of non-industry and down to earth.
Hmm.
It was about the music, and if you really listen to the music and what they achieved as songwriters, it's amazing because I remember early days listening. I'm like, how is he coming up with a melody over this stuff in like who knows what tuning and what timing? Because they always did odd time signatures and
Right.
time changes, and they always did like really messed up tunings of guitars, and he would always find a melody through it, and that's actually quite amazing in my eyes.
Yeah. I mean, think about even Jesus Christ pose. Like how are you finding the melody there? Where
Yeah,
is that? Yet he
yeah.
found it and is one of the best rock songs of all time.
I love that song.
So,
So many of their songs are just amazing. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, straight up, as a drummer and a hack at that, like Matt Cameron is like God.
God.
Period.
I'm a guitarist, and I'm like, he's God.
Yeah. So to the Woodstock '99 documentary, did you see that on Netflix yet? Have you watched it?
Yeah, I did, of course. Yeah.
Holy shit! Like as somebody that does event production, like could you see that spiraling out of control quicker than they did?
It- as somebody who puts on events, you're so close to so many nuances that it is hard to take the step back and look at the whole.
Mm,
Uh, and I like the one thing that I saw in it though was how they were ignoring the as it kept building, and
right.
I understand that there's also very much a need to show confidence in the public eye, because if the public loses confidence in you in your event, it's done. uh Midway through, it's done. And so they needed to get to the end line. They did what they needed to do. They could have maybe done it in a better way. um and that was it. Like it's just a crazy thing. And sorry, I'm trying to remember, is it Michael Lang?
Yeah.
uh yeah,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
actually
The past. Yeah.
yeah, so I actually met him in New York number of years ago, and got to
Mhm.
ask a couple questions and stuff. And it's an interesting thing where an event is created out of good intentions. Those good intentions were probably 4 years in planning to get to the event, and so many outside influences take shape and hold and push things in all different ways, and you're the one trying to get it to the end zone and put on the best event possible, and you're the face of it. So um you know it's funny because there's a number of us who put on events and these conferences and these festivals, and they're multi-days with bands from all over. The opportunity for one thing to go wrong is immense, right?
Yes.
Immense. And I've had, just to kind of like in my own sphere, uh, I've had a volcano in Iceland ground us in Dublin for 7 days. I've had a lot happened in Ireland. I've had bomb scare in Belfast. In Dublin, the Queen all of a sudden arrived and did stuff, and that meant security locked down all the streets. So that meant volunteers couldn't come to the venues. And we had a flood, so that meant the north and south were divided, of like you couldn't get across the river. I've had a ceiling fall down during a artist performance. I've had what else did I have? VIP tent rolling down Queen Street once, almost hitting all the cars, because we were kind of like, I can't remember what year it was, but there was like a hurricane going through New York, and we caught the tail end of it, and sure enough, it was during the festival. Yeah, so you don't plan for that stuff, and that's, for the most part, that's like natural stuff, but you also don't plan for the people that show up that are disruptive, break stuff, pull down stuff, and it's tough, it's tough.
Like, I wonder how much of that Woodstock 99 had to do with just not enough security. And like when they start to see the troublemakers, like you say, you want to kind of give them a little bit of room to be able to do things. You don't want to, like, stop the fun, but like, I wonder how much that had to do with just there wasn't enough security and they didn't do things when shit was starting to get out of hand.
Yeah, and who was the security that they hired? Like there's so much that goes into planning. Like an example was like for us, even like you have to think about all the stuff that can go wrong and hope it doesn't go wrong. So all the work that you did, you hope actually you don't have to use.
Right.
So I think it was about 6-7 years ago. If you remember, there were some bombings that took place in Europe at concerts.
Yeah, well, there was one in Paris
Paris
at
was,
the
yeah,
what's it called? I'm blanking on the name.
same, but it was Eagles of Death Metal.
Yeah.
Right, and then there was, I think it was a Ariana Grande, or no, there was one in Manchester that happened kind of around that time too. So I call my friend who's in security. I'm like, we need to create sort of a manifest, because you're responsible for volunteers. Volunteers are the ones that aren't experienced. They're looking to get experience, but you're responsible for them. So I was hiring a friend of mine who's in security to write sort of like, here's the manifest of, if it all turns sideways, here's what you do, here's what you don't do, to train volunteers. And
Yeah.
And halfway through that, there was a earthquake in Haiti, and he was called to help there. That's kind of his job. He goes to places that are in turmoil. Like he's already gone to Ukraine as well. So these are the things you have to think about as an organizer, because one, everyone's safety is your responsibility. You have to put on a safe event. You have to be prepared for all the things. So the list gets longer each time, because now there's a pandemic. And it's like, okay, I got the bombing thing, I got this, and now there's a pandemic thing. Now I got to be ready for that. Do we have all the gear? Do we have hand sanitizer? Is there training? All that stuff, right? So,
Right. Right.
just another thing why I'm kind of like, I don't know about doing live events so much anymore. So
Yet he starts it up again. I love it.
yeah, yeah.
A friend of mine had and we'll move on after this. A friend goes, the main takeaway for me after watching Woodstock 99 was Limp Bizkit was cool as fuck. Like, yeah, they were pretty cool.
Well, that's the one thing that the documentary does portray too, is like, you hire a band to do what they do,
Totally.
and that's what Limp Bizkit did.
Right. And they killed it. Like, killed
it.
Yeah.
Just the song break
stuff alone, sure.
with that many people breaking things is it's a recipe for stuff being broken.
Yeah, and it probably didn't help that the Chili Peppers broke out fire as well.
Yeah, and I if you look back to Woodstock 94, that was the mud year.
Yeah.
Nine Inch Nails' performance, all covered in mud, was epic. It
Well,
was,
people were throwing mud at him too, like just bombing
yeah.
him.
Well, Green Day, right? Uh oh, I'm Primus. I've been wanting to remember this one. So they have a song called "My Name Is Mud."
But yeah, my name is Mud.
So if you watch the video, it's like all of a sudden all the mud was being thrown at them, and Claypool had to stop. He's like, "Look, the song's called My Name Is Mud, but keep the mud to yourself."
Totally. I am not Mud.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. Could you pick a career highlight? Could you nail it down to one thing, or is that just like not happening?
Uh, yeah, it's that's a really tough one. I kind of look at it as different types of moments.
Yeah.
Um, Meeting certain people that you'd think you would never have the chance, and meeting in a situation where you're able to have a conversation, like uh having a dinner with John Densmore, the drummer of the Doors, and hearing stories about Morrison. That was pretty crazy.
Wow.
Like
It's like, what the
the
hell is
Doors.
happening to my life right now?
Yeah. Like those are the kinds of things. And what I have to I've kind of been lately kind of summarizing. COVID makes you reflect and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And if anything, my highlight really is doing all the international travel. And I just got back from Brazil. We had two Canadian artists playing there at a festival. And it's the friends I've made around the world in different territories, um, that and getting that experience of culture and language and food and music, of course. You
Mhm.
just can't replace that. Like, that's something you can't buy. And I'm very fortunate for that. Going back to Brazil, I'm able to text some people. We meet for lunch, dinner, drinks, all that right away, and reconnect, and just having that sort of network of people across the globe really that's my highlight.
Yeah. That's great. Daryl, where's the best place for is there one website for somebody to go to if they're watching this video and like, man, I want to learn more about this guy. I want to learn more about the industry. Like, where's the best place for people to go to?
Well, all things Indie Week is indieweek.com.
.com. Sure.
I keep meaning to have my own website, but I just don't have the time. So LinkedIn is a good place to look me up, and Instagram. Those are the
Okay.
two places I'm active.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, man, for jumping on. It's good to see your face. Great to connect and talk, and somebody like-minded, man. I mean, uh, like you, it was probably grade 5, grade 6 that, like, it was. I'm doing something in music. It touched me in such a way that, like, I couldn't imagine doing anything else at this point in my life.
Yeah, me too. And I've tried to get out a couple times, and it keeps pulling me back in. So, and and at my age now, I don't think there's any turning back. So
No,
it's full steam ahead.
I think we're full steam. Yeah. Well, good luck with the Music Pro Summit, September 6th through 8th. You are at Darryl Hurs and at Indie Week on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. How about that? It's like you get marketing and
Yeah,
branding.
yeah, exactly. Just Google it. I'm easy to find. It's all good.
Awesome. Cheers, dude. Well, have a great day, and we'll see you online. Thanks, Daryl.
Awesome. Thank you so much.